What if Revan awakened during the Clone Wars? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Obi-Wan, Anakin, and the Jedi Council all leap to their feet, reaching for their lightsabers as the door slides open. The figure who enters is garbed in Jedi robes, though it's coupled with a blood-red Mandalorian helmet. Behind him is a large droid with two blasters pointed at the temple guards trailing them. The Jedi bows respectfully toward them.
Warning! Don't do anything stupid.
Greetings, Masters. I'm here to offer my services to you.
The council stares at him, their bodies stiffening at that voice. They all know the histories and the exploits of Revan, but they also know of his fall to the dark side. Mace points his lightsaber at him.
And what makes you think we will accept it, Sith Lord?
Repentant, Sith Lord. And you are asking the wrong questions. What you should be wondering is why I was awoken. And that is because there is more to this war than you believe. The Sith.
Yes, we are quite aware of the Sith. Count Dooku has made his presence clear.
Dooku? No, he isn't the one you are searching for. His presence is only a shadow of the darkness.
The Jedi freeze and glance at each other nervously. This was news to them. They blink, and their weapons dip. Obi-Wan especially seems nervous as he recalls his conversation with Dooku.
He did mention another name. Sidious. He said he was the one controlling everything, even the Senate.
You will need all the help you can get to find this figure. And who better than me? I am perhaps the only one here, save for Master Yoda, with experience in war.
And provide this freely, you will. Very well. Accept your offer, I do. But precautions we shall take.
Revan finds these terms acceptable and is given a position in the military. However, the condition is that Revan must take Jedi deputies, who will be permitted to take over if the Jedi deem him compromised. For the task of his second-in-command, the Jedi Council select their very best and most incorruptible master, Plo Koon. However, the second deputy he selects is Anakin Skywalker, who he sees great potential in. This army quickly proves itself in battle as they join the fight on planets like Ryloth and Monolith. Revan's military genius quickly shows, despite being heavily outnumbered and often facing brutal CIS commanders like Dirge and Grievous. His forces storm through these worlds, fighting through waves of droids with Revan at his head. Even the old Jedi Master cannot fault the results Revan gives, or find reason to believe he is serving anyone but the Republic. Meanwhile, Anakin has no problem with what Revan does, and the ancient Jedi takes the knight under his wing, teaching him about generalship.
What many do not realize is that aside from logistics, equipment, and strategy, morale is just as important for your soldiers. It doesn't matter how well equipped they are if they don't believe in your cause. For them to believe in that, they must believe in you.
And what exactly does that mean?
It means that even 1,000 years ago, people already thought the Jedi believed themselves superior to others.
But we are different. No one else can access the Force the way we do.
Sarcasm. Yeah, try saying that to people on the street.
Maybe. And I'm sure the men know these abilities have saved them in the past. But this is war, and we can't have divisions like that dividing us at critical times. The men don't just need to follow you. They need to trust you.
Rather than have Anakin stay in private quarters, he has them stay in the same barracks as the clones. He has Anakin eat the same rashes as them and march alongside them during drills. Even Master Plo joins in, sharing the victory and hardship with their men. The clones develop more faith in them. When it comes time to battle, the clones appear more energetic and trusting of the Jedi. And at a perfect timing, too, as they get their first test on Christophsis. What was supposed to be a carefully planned ambush turns into a retreat as the droids catch wind of their plans. Anakin and Obi-Wan manage to track the enemy commander down, but it's the clones who take the initiative and track down the data breach. It turns out that one of their own was responsible. Slick. Revan orders the trooper to be detained for interrogation. HK-47 takes charge of this and absently lays out his tools in front of Slick, picking up a buzzsaw and holding it up menacingly.
Statement. The only thing I hate more than you meatbags, or treasonous meatbags. I recommend you speak now before I creatively dismantle your pathetic organic shell.
Go ahead, droid. I've faced worse. Do you think your threats scare me? I've scrapped dozens of your buddies, and when I get out of here, I'll do the same for you.
Observation. You are quite resistant for a meatbag. Most break under the promise of pain. Fascinating and infuriating. Query. Permission to proceed with dismemberment for motivational purposes.
HK, I don't think clones break from torture. Sometimes violence isn't the answer.
Sarcastic query. Are you certain? Resignation. As you wish, Master. However, I maintain that my methods are more efficient.
You believe you've done the right thing, don't you? Betraying your squad, putting their lives in danger. Why?
Because they don't see it. None of you do. We're slaves. The Republic made us fight. To die. Well, the Jedi act like it's some noble cause, but they don't care about us. They just want to sit on their pedestal.
On the contrary, I agree. It's a cruel fate to be bred for war. Stripped of choice, and with commanders as misguided as the Jedi. But you misunderstand the Jedi's role. They have as much choice as you clones. They serve the Republic, and the Republic is rotten.
You expect me to believe the Jedi are innocent? You lead us into battle. You give the orders.
I'm not one of them. I never have been. I think even you can see that.
Yeah. Not a lot of Jedi do the stuff you do. But that doesn't make a difference. You're still one of them.
I would think that affords me some trust in my men. Though perhaps I should give some trust in you. There might be more to it than I realize. I should lock you up and throw away the key. But I see your potential in learning the truth.
Potential? What do you mean?
You're smart enough to think for yourself, to question your lot in life. I respect that. So what if I were to help you investigate this matter, within reason? In exchange, you would report to me, and only me.
All right. You've got a deal. Better than rotting in prison.
Disappointed observation. I would have preferred a more violent resolution, Master.
Revan chuckles and ensures the report filing Slick's betrayal is buried under a mountain of other issues. But the conversation has a strong impact on him. Everything the trooper said was true, which leads him to wonder, if there is still a Sith Lord in the Senate, then control of the clones must be key to their plan. When the battle is over, Revan sends Slick and HK-47 to learn everything they can about the Kaminoans and the clones. Although the data was wiped from the archives, the two travel across the galaxy, gathering every bit of data they can. They head to Kamino, posing as representatives for Revan's army to sneak around, even breaking into the databanks to gather answers. However, the Kaminoans prove to be just as secretive about their plans. They do receive some scraps of data like how, although the Jedi commissioned the clone army, the payments and cloning template were provided by a different man, someone named Tyrannus. It is just a name for most, but Revan can see a Sith title if he ever saw one. This confirms his suspicions that the Sith truly are behind this army. But as he considers that, the war continues to rage. Revan's tactics are unlike anything the galaxy has seen in millennia, drawing on his extensive experience from the Mandalorian Wars and the Jedi Civil War of the Old Republic. He employs strategies that are ruthless and devastatingly effective. These are matched with Anakin's boundless energy and boldness. Whether it's orchestrating ambushes in dense jungles, collapsing enemy supply lines, or leading high-risk infiltration missions, his unorthodox methods leave droid armies in shambles and separatist generals scrambling. His willingness to bend and sometimes outright shatter the Jedi Code sets him apart. Revan has no qualms about exploiting weaknesses in his enemies or employing deception to gain the upper hand. HK-47 plays a critical role in this, often infiltrating separatist strongholds to sow chaos or eliminate key targets with surgical precision. But these aren't limited to battles either. Revan is also willing to go above his position to help recapture worlds. Rather than let the bureaucracy of the Republic run the show, the same thing these systems have rebelled for, he decides to employ unconventional strategies to give them the help they need, such as hiring smugglers and privateers. In this regard, Master Plo is surprisingly helpful, as he uses his connections in the Order to get these supplies. It's not just Revan's tactics that earn him admiration, it's his connection to his troops. He eats with them, listens to their concerns, and stands beside them on the front lines. His troops, in turn, are fiercely loyal, almost fanatically so. Over time, the men serving in his army see themselves as Revan's soldiers first, and the Republic soldiers second. In all these battles, Revan, Anakin, and Plo Koon are often seen leading the charge. In one battle, Revan leads a daring charge through a separatist blockade. Against all odds, his forces secure a critical Republic victory. The HoloNet broadcasts the footage, hailing him as one of the Republic's finest commanders. Stories of his army's heroics spread rapidly, turning him into a legend among the clone army. Even clones not from his army come to admire the wily Jedi. Many of them shared advice and invited him to develop strategies. However, not everyone is enthusiastic about Revan's success. The Jedi and Palpatine both share their misgivings about him. While Master Plo provides regular reports of Revan's heroism and success, he does acknowledge his recklessness and underhanded tactics, which bothers the Jedi Council. They urge Plo Koon to continue stepping in whenever possible, and reminding Revan that he's not above the Republic. On the other hand, Palpatine sees this success and power that one man is making and sees it as a threat. He doesn't wish for Revan to threaten his position. With such a large following, Revan could easily win over countless more clones to his side. When Palpatine decides to limit the Jedi's power, the Order is inclined to agree. They strip Revan of some of his troops, instead assigning them directly to Anakin, claiming that he is now ready to take on greater responsibility. At the same time, supplies and resources are cut down as they claim they are needed in other sectors. Lastly, Revan is reassigned to frontier duties, guarding areas where the fighting is not as heavy. While he remains as brilliant as ever, these battles are far from important and do not get nearly as much attention. For the next few months, he sits out large portions of the war, letting Anakin take increasing command of his troops. As this happens, they eventually hear of the fateful Battle of Ringo Vinda, where an unusual event happens where one of Anakin's men kills a Jedi. Revan discreetly orders HK-47 and Slick to look into this. However, to their surprise, they learn they aren't the only ones suspicious. An ARC troop from this battle, Fives, also looks into it. He orders them to rescue Fives as he's being accused of trying to assassinate the Chancellor. They take him to Revan's headquarters, where the Jedi is waiting with another clone trooper, one in green armor, Commander Doom and Plo Koon.
You're alive. Good. I was worried HK might have gotten carried away. He sometimes has difficulty telling clones apart.
Correction. All meatbags look the same to me.
Commander Doom here corroborated your account of Ringo Vinda, but I wanted to hear it from you directly. What happened to Tup?
It wasn't battlefield stress, sir. The chip. The inhibitor chip in our heads. It's not what they told us. Tup's chip activated, and it made him kill his Jedi General. He didn't have a choice. I saw it too. Tup was acting strange before the battle, like he was suffering a headache.
Who else knows about this?
I tried to tell the Chancellor himself. I thought he'd help, but he set me up. He called me a traitor and sent the guard after me. He knows, sir. He's part of it.
Then there is a chance he may be our Sith Lord. If not, then he is certainly helping them. We must report this to the Jedi Council immediately.
Hold on. The Jedi have had their chance. Fives reported it, and they didn't defend him. This Sith Lord has prepared for this moment. No. If we're going to win, we need to do things my way. Are you with me?
You are suggesting treason, Master Revan.
It seems more like the Republic has betrayed us, not the other way around. We cannot win by playing their game. They brought you here because they wanted someone to keep an eye on me. But surely I've earned some trust over the years. Surely you can see that sometimes playing by the rules isn't how you win.
I have known you as many things. Reckless, calculating, and half-mad. But I have never believed you have fallen to the dark side. What will you have me do?
Shut off all communications from outside our headquarters and gather all the men in the halls. I will speak to them personally. Meanwhile, Commander Doom, I want you to bring your remaining men here, and make no secret of it. Unlike Palpatine, I will not hide from this fight.
My men have no Jedi commanding us anymore, General. We'll follow your orders. As they leave to follow his orders, Revan steps out in the mustering yard for his troopers. He eyes them slowly, watching line after line who fought alongside him in countless battles. He holds up the data chip containing the information about the inhibitor chips and sends it to them. He watches the surprise flicker across the men's face as they view it for themselves.
My soldiers, today I have received this report from one of your own, Clone Trooper 5's, a hero who fought alongside us, a well-respected ARC trooper. He uncovered this truth, and to try and cover it up, the Chancellor has ordered him to be assassinated.
He lets the gasps ripple across the troops before he gestures for silence.
This is the nature of the Republic, and how they treat their soldiers. Not as heroes, but as tools to be discarded when their usefulness is at its end. However, I know differently. You are not simply clones. You are my men, and just as you have fought for me, I am prepared to fight for you. If the Republic wishes to treat you in such a way, then they are no longer deserving of our loyalty. So I ask you this. Are you with me in correcting this foolish notion of theirs?
The response is loud and clear as every clone raises his fist in the air and shouts their support for him. They roar that they are with him. The next step for them is to begin removing their inhibitor chips. Slick, Fives, and Plo Koon oversee this operation, but once they are committed to this rebellion, Revan then broadcasts it openly. He announces that he will no longer serve the Republic that has wronged him. When news breaks that Commander Doom is joining him, the Senate sees it as Revan building up his forces. Rather than hide it, Revan broadcasts it openly. He shows the faces of Slick and Fives. He shows the clones removing and smashing their inhibitor chips. He broadcasts the data for all to see, with his demand that Palpatine appear before him so they can negotiate their terms. He will accept no one else but Palpatine. Rather than reduce his support, it only spurs the clones into action. Many clones, especially those who formerly served under Revan, quickly defect back to him. Others begin to discreetly remove their inhibitor chips or question these orders. Without these, Palpatine has no way of enacting Order 66. Revan has made himself invaluable as he now stands as the only person who the clones will listen to unconditionally. Amidst the flurry of activity, Revan contacts his old protege, Anakin, who now has become the Republic's top hero.
Anakin, the galaxy is at a crossroads, and so are we. These clones have fought valiantly, sacrificing everything for a Republic that does not care for them. How can we call ourselves their leaders if we do not fight for them? We once swore to protect the innocent, but tell me, where is the justice in sacrificing men like Fives to preserve a life? The Republic has failed us. It has failed the clones who bleed and die for it. Ask yourself, Anakin, which is more important, this failing Republic or the soldiers who have given everything for it? If you believe it is the latter, then I ask you to follow these instructions. The clones believe in you, Anakin. I only hope you still believe in them.
But Revan does get the reaction he wishes, and Palpatine agrees to a meeting with him in the mid-rim. The two sides stand across a vast, rocky plateau under a blood-red sky. Revan stands at the head of his rebels, all wearing armor painted red and purple to honor him, and next to him is HK-47 and Plo Koon. Palpatine, meanwhile, is escorted by Anakin Skywalker and the 501st Legion, their blue armor contrasting sharply. Revan stops before Palpatine and smiles.
You've hidden behind masks long enough, Sidious. The galaxy deserves to know the truth.
Very well. I must say, though, I am impressed. I wasn't expecting much from a relic of a bygone era, but you came closest to uncovering my plans. There is no reason for us to fight. You are no friend of the Jedi. Join me, and we can rid the galaxy of them and take over.
And let me guess, I shall be serving under you.
Well, you are merely a sector commander now. But join me, and you can be the supreme commander.
Tempting, but I'll pass.
Revan surges forward, his blades igniting as he slashes with his purple and crimson lightsaber. Palpatine can only gasp as he redirects one but catches the other with the Force. Revan pushes Palpatine back, sending him stumbling to the ground where everyone can see him. The Jedi, Anakin, and the clones.
Execute Order 66.
The 501st don't move, continuing to stare at him in surprise as they try to make sense of everything. The silence is deafening, but the most shocked are the Jedi, who immediately realize one thing. The data that Revan had broadcasted was completely true. He spares a glance toward Anakin and nods gratefully. True to his instructions, he ordered Anakin to have all his clones' inhibitor chips removed.
What's the matter, Sidious? Your puppets don't dance anymore?
Traitors, I shall have your heads for this.
He senses movement behind him and sees Revan leaping at him with his lightsabers ready. Palpatine this time is ready and blocks them before using the Force to toss him aside. Revan turns his fall into a roll and rushes at him. But as he approaches, the Chancellor unleashes a torrent of lightning that singes the ground around him. This keeps him from getting close, as he must continue to dodge and roll aside from these attacks. After another attack, Revan crosses his lightsabers and absorbs the attacks before swinging back and rushing at him. When he does get close, the lightsabers flash in an explosion of sparks. Now that he's ready, Palpatine meets these attacks with more speed and strengthens his defenses, preventing Revan from scoring more than a few minor cuts. Palpatine lashes out with a vicious overhead strike, which Revan sidesteps, but glances against his shoulder.
Fool! You should have stayed dead. You are no match for my power.
Is that what you call power? Since this war began, I've fought in countless battles and buried countless of my men. Their essence has returned to the Force, but today it stands with me. I do not expect a man like you to understand that. Always slinking in the shadows, unable to win friends or gather allies without fear and corruption. No, you know nothing of power. You are weaker than ever.
The Sith Lord retreats, summoning another blast of lightning, but Revan absorbs it again, stepping closer. The anger inside Palpatine boils over, and he springs forward, lightsaber flashing as he tries to get inside his defenses. While Revan stabs both lightsabers, Palpatine twists and kicks him back, slashing him across his armored torso as Revan falls to his knees. When the Chancellor follows up, Revan crosses his lightsabers and halts his attack. He pivots them aside, and then headbutts Palpatine with his helmet. Slick, Fives, and Doom begin to chant Revan's name, filling the void of the lightsaber-crested silence with their cheers. More clones begin to pick up the shout. A handful, then hundreds, and then thousands. The entirety of his army joins in the cheers, raising their fists in the air. HK-47 alongside Anakin and Plo Koon, and then the 501st. The shouts echo across the field, sending the ground shaking as they all roar out. Palpatine covers his ears while Revan spreads his arms out, taking in the cheers.
This is what power looks like. Everyone who stands here now does so because they share my vision. If you had the skills to defeat me, which you do not, then my deputies will take over. And if they fall, their commanders and 1,000 more will take their place. But you have no one to carry your legacy. You have already lost.
From the sideline, Anakin moves forward, his lightsaber igniting in a brilliant blue glow. His blade flashes behind Palpatine, who barely manages to whirl aside and stare at him in shock. But before he can recover, a burst of Force judgment sends him back as Plo Koon advances.
It seems like the time has come to play dirty.
Let's break some rules.
Palpatine lets out a guttural scream, unleashing a massive wave of dark energy that knocks everyone back momentarily. He leaps toward Revan, but the ancient Jedi blocks against these attacks and then stabs both of his weapons forward, leaving Palpatine to stumble back as Plo and Anakin rush at him, their brilliant blue lightsabers cutting through the darkness. Their movements have the same grace expected from any Jedi, and Palpatine finds himself on the defensive as they rain down attacks on him. The Chancellor blocks these attacks and pushes them aside, but Master Plo twists and sucker punches Palpatine across the face. As his head snaps back, Anakin goes low and sweeps his legs. Palpatine tumbles onto the ground, and Revan stabs at him, leaving him barely able to roll aside, and blasts a burst of lightning to try and get some more distance. He tries to raise his lightsaber to defend, but he bats it aside and kicks Palpatine against the ground. Revan drives his lightsaber into his shoulders and smiles as Anakin walks up and takes his head. As the battlefield is momentarily silenced, the clones all begin to cheer, but one shout cuts through the excitement.
Long live Emperor Revan!
The shout is picked up by all clones, who roar in approval. With their army victorious, the clones march on to Coruscant, where the Senate is helpless to oppose them. Instead, they agree to the proclamation and name Revan the new Emperor. His first command is the removal of all clone inhibitor chips, declaring them unlawful and ordering the Kaminoans to begin researching how to prevent the clones' artificial aging. Aside from that, he also begins to go after senators loyal to Palpatine, allowing them to be executed. Those who try to escape are dealt with by HK-47 and Slick. Meanwhile, Plo Koon is sent back to the Jedi to invite them into his new order. Revan has little interest in fighting them and allows them to act as an advisory body for his rule, similar to the Senate now. Lastly, Anakin is named as Revan's heir, and he continues to train him in the ways of the Force. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.